So I'll just say Levante touched on a lot of things, but co-curricular in general, there's a lot of things that come with that. It's not just about athletics, or it's not just about DECA and some of the other things. There's a lot that goes into it. And of course, he's an exceptional young man, doing a lot of great things. But I think he represents what's possible. And a lot of our young people who may not have the ability to stand up here and say they're on the honor society and they do this and they do that, or their mom took their Xbox away because they got a C in handwriting. But the reality is, I think a lot of our young people still get some great things out of what co-curricular is. And so with that, let me just point out a couple folks. John Zajac is not here because he's at the AD conference up in Traverse City, but Matt from Willow Run, Jody from Ipsy have been tremendous throughout this process. So obviously, and I'll just say it in this context, folks won't always, may not necessarily be the athletic director of the new department, but they actually had some great input and put youth first. So I wanted to say that, and they're here if people have questions.
Thank you very much. Why don't we take a minute to the...
Oh, any more questions up there?
I want to come back to our seats.
As the board are retaking their seats, I just want to take this opportunity to thank you, Mr. Davis, for taking your time to come out. We can't, I think, hear from students often enough to understand and remind ourselves about the importance of the work we're doing and the direct effect that it has on students. So thank you very much. Congratulations to you and your successes and your team's success, and good luck on Tuesday night, I think it is, right?
Thank you so much.
All right, with that, we'll move to board questions. I know Vice President Garrett had a question that you'd like to entertain.
Well, ask you, Mr. Jackson. Question for you. The athletic director, will they be a teacher here?
So definitely want people to be a part of the district. I think the folks in the committee were really, so the notion that an assistant principal / athletic director, how much time really goes to directing the athletic department was probably minimal. It really had assistant principal. We didn't talk a lot about whether it be an actual teacher within the district, and I think that's some of the questions around operationalizing, like what really does it look like, especially with the budget consideration. I mean, we really didn't have the opportunity or the information to really delve into the budget considerations, but I think what that bullet really stresses is someone who can focus on athletics and focus on the things that are laid out here.
And I guess my other question, the coaches, will they be teachers? Because, you know, I'm real big in sports, and I notice a lot of the programs right now that are really flourishing has that old school mentality where they take the teachers from within the district and hire them as coaches. But I've also seen where we have coaches coming in from out of nowhere to coach in a district they know nothing about. And I think that's kind of a slap in the face of the community. And I heard you say in district, you want to make sure they have a good stability or a good foundation here within the district. So I guess my first question is, will it be a teacher or administration for coaches? And then second, if not, how tied, you know, we're talking about we're going to go get the best, right? And we're going to get the best, whatever that may be, basketball, football, baseball, but then the tie would also be within the community too.
So I think there was a lot of conversation around there are some benefits to having a coach who's within the school district who can see the kids on a regular basis, recruit them to come out, but also keep tabs on them, help them academically as well as athletically. And so it was a recommendation that they, you know, that would be one of the criteria. It was not the only criteria, meaning if someone is outside of the district, or we have great coaches who are not teachers within the district, that the recommendation is not to say you have to be within it. It is if this is kind of a preferred piece of it. And then as well, that's why we really stuck to the competencies. If you find someone who's not within the district, but they have those competencies, I'm pretty confident that they would be a great coach and someone that the school district would be really happy to have working with them. So that was really the piece of where the competencies came in. It was so strong. You could have someone from the community. I'd like to think that I would be the good coach at every school, community school. And I'm not obviously a teacher. So I think that, yeah, definitely there would be some prefer this, but not necessarily as a requirement.
And then a last question, as far as the keeping students accountable, right? And I think that's very key. So when you talk about having this student learning center, whatever it may be, where would the coaches play a role in that? Because I know a lot of times, we have coaches who have jobs who can't get here till 5 and 6 o'clock, so that means we have to push the practices back so they can get here. So what role would the coaches play in this position now that we're gonna start this new district with this new program, with this top of this line, state-of-the-art program?
I think, as you well know, if the coaches say it so, then I think the athletes are gonna follow that. And if the coaches do it the right way, then the athletes will follow that. So if a coach isn't bought into this, I don't think they're a coach for the district. If they have, I think their athletes will fall right into line. And I think, so they play a major role is the bottom line. And I'll just go back to the competencies again. If they meet those competencies, then I think that they clearly fit into what the district will be looking for. And would be leading their student athletes to be excellent in academics, excellent on the field of play, and then excellent within their service to the community.
I know you probably can't answer this one. I would like for you, but what would be the grade point average?
So we talked a lot about 2.0. I think that's the piece that we haven't solidified, but folks talked a lot about 2.0. But what goes into that as well is, so someone like Levante, who has never got a B in his life, except in handwriting, who has maybe like a 4 point. If that person is an athlete and they're above 2.0, but then they drop down to a 3.0, that is an issue that I think the district would really be concerned about. So those coaches understand that it's not just the threshold of 2.0. It really is, how do you measure success with each individual? And that's where the Student Athlete Development Center comes in. Talked a lot about having a counselor who can focus on the athletic side of it and understand the athletic side of it. So if you see that 4.0 student drop down a half a point, that's significant. If Levante was now at say from a 4.0 to 3.5, I'd be concerned. So 2.0 is kind of the threshold, and there was a lot that went into that. How, if you're below a 2.0, is there a way to, I'm missing my words right now, but how do you work your way back above to get back on the team? If you're below a 2.0, are you no longer able to practice? Some of those questions haven't been finalized yet, but we've been battering those back and forth. I think the ultimate goal, though, was to really make it so that they take academics very seriously. I just said a couple quick things. I didn't know what a SUCO was until a coach made me go get one. I didn't know how to study until a coach made me go to a study table. I didn't know how important academics was until it was a coach that said, hey, if you want to run on the college level, you better meet this GPA. So I think the coaches, once again, play a major role, and taking academics seriously, I think is really, really, really important.
You ever thought about 2.5? The reason why I say that because if you got a 2.0 and you try to get into college, then they're gonna send you through the loop.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna start, we're gonna do this. That was my whole thing. And then what would eligibility be? Would it be for the year? Because I know sometimes we do, if you're eligible for the week and you ain't eligible next week, or you can play, or.
So that was one that I think the consensus in the committee was we got to get away from that.
Thank you.
That week to week, you're eligible, you're not. I didn't even know that was even possible until our committee meetings. But so honestly, we haven't totally agreed on all of those. But those are the exact. We just had this conversation at the last meeting, and that was exactly what someone said. You can struggle with 2.0 to get into college. The balance is, the balance that I think some people are laying out is looking at our student athletes, looking historically at the grade point averages, where folks are working towards kind of having a middle ground, kind of taking it all into consideration. Which is why ultimately we made the recommendation here today, because we just didn't finalize those conversations. But they were the exact same questions you're asking.
Thank you.
Mr. Jackson, thank you very much for your hard work. Oh, I'm sorry. Trustee Sheila, please.
So all three of my sons have been involved in community sports, whether through the Ypsilanti Rec Department or Little League or union. Do you have a plan for reaching out to those community groups and building relationships and maybe aligning the pipeline?
So that's a big piece of it. And then one of the things to be further considered is collaboration within the community is a big piece of that. I mean, there's some conversations around,